I love being like perched in my little apartment box. And it's got like the best view, but you kind of have to stick your head like out of the window.
I've always lived with this sense of like, I always thought that I should be somewhere. Like I always aspired to be like whoever I looked up to was always, like if they were 20 years old or 24 years old or whatever, I always would like had benchmarks of like this person was like doing this thing and they're like 23 years old. And when you're like younger, everything is like measured by age and like instead of experience and things like that. So I would always be like, oh, like this person is 20 years old and on a tour, so when I'm 20 years old, like I'll be on a tour. For some reason I just always remembered these dumb little like factual things about the people that I look up to, and then you like reflect that back on yourself and be like, so like Michael Jordan was like fucking champion when he was super young, and you haven't like done that yet, or like Nas wrote Illmatic and like before he was 20. It's like, that's fucking like insane. Like, what have like you done? And when you're looking at things that are like this, like a similar industry, it's like, oh damn, and you feel like not on the same track. But I feel like one of the things I've learned as I got older is that like seriously anything in life can happen, and like everybody's life is different, and not to ever think that like no one's path is the same. Kind of, it's just like a really weird analogy, but I feel like with haircuts, another thing, it's like a weird lesson that I feel like is the same thing that I'm talking about. Like the lessons you keep learning over again. Like when you show somebody a picture of a haircut, you want to get it done like just like it is. And what I realized is like your face looks different than their face. So even if they cut all of the hairs exactly the same, like it was going to look different on you because your head's different, your face is different. So like your hair, you need to give the person like the justice or like the wiggle room to like tailor that style to your like face and hair. And that's another thing, like a thing that people don't think a lot. They're like, I want it just like this. But then as I got older, I realized like making things more like fit you and like do it in the style of something, like do your what you want, do it in the style that they had, but like remix it a little bit to fit you. And I feel like that is how I kind of look at like the life thing too. Like those paths is not necessarily gonna happen to me like the same way, and I don't stress about it. Like I used to think it was like over and it wasn't gonna happen because I wasn't like didn't make it by the time they made it or whatever, and now I'm like, no, like, that's not how any of that works like at all. It's like it's like I see the business of life more, and I'm like, we've just got like started. We've just started.
I look rough.
It's okay, I do too.
Our lots of food.
I think it's really hard for me to not compare myself to others, even though I know that everybody's different. Beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, yada, yada, yada. I know that, but it's hard when you're not necessarily the norm, or like, I don't know. It was hard coming into myself being like a black girl in a room of like skinny white girls all the time. And again, I'm really lucky to have parents that would stop me from like having that sort of mindset, but it's hard to, I don't know, it's hard. Like in high school, I was like in this group of girls who were just like catty and the worst and just like so not me, but they were who I wanted to be at the time. So I kind of like, it was just like gross, like white girl Bellevue shit. And just like, I don't know, just like doing, just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I like completely changed my style and like I straightened my hair a shit ton. It fucked my hair up, just like shit like that. Like, got like fucking ombre highlights, like stuff like that. And I just remember one day I was like, fuck it, I don't want to be these people's friends anymore. I think that's really when I started coming into myself as like a young adult, like starting to find people that I could relate to and who I could be myself around. So it was like phony person. It was really annoying. It's like gross to look back on it. I like see pictures during that time period. I'm like, that's a big yikes. It was nasty. But that was a really big, I don't know. It was a drastic change. It was really weird because I was really, really close with these girls. And I remember like my mom telling me like, those girls aren't your friends, Kira. And I did not believe. I was like, no, fuck you. I love these girls. We do this and this together. And I saw them every week. It was just, we hung out constantly. I just remember like the second I wasn't like attached to the hip with them, I wasn't just like, I don't know. The second I stepped away and got away from that, everything just became so much easier. I try not to spend time nitpicking. I try not to focus on things that I can't change in like 5 minutes, if that makes any sense. Like if my skin's looking busted, I'm like, okay, well, we'll work on that. There's nothing you can do about it right now, but you're just gonna have to work on that. But if it's like, I don't know, it depends. It ebbs and flows. I don't know. I think I'm, again, really lucky in that aspect. I don't think there's really ever a day where I think everything is wrong with me. I'm able to like be like, well, at least this is cool, and at least that's good, and you're still a bad bitch, and you're still this and that and that and that. But yeah, I think so. I think I'm getting there. Again, I'm growing. I'm not who I want to be in the long run yet, but again, I'm getting there. I'll get there one day. I'm still young. I still have a lot of time, and I'm still learning. I don't think I would be happy with myself. I don't think I would, I don't know how to word this. I don't think I would be doing my job like as a person, as somebody who needs to be growing, if I was like 100% happy with what I am today, because I still need a lot of work, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
I feel like people spend a lot of time, reaching for something, like a goal or um, something that's a little like further into the future, and I feel like they stress themselves so much trying to get there that they don't appreciate the days as they go by until they're past. You study, you stay up all night studying, you skip out on time, like eating or seeing your friends or all that because you think, okay, well, if I study and I do this, then I'll get that internship. But if I, get that internship and work long hours, then I'll get, a better position. And then, but at the end, I feel like that's not what I feel like you should be appreciating every day. And you don't have to think, okay, I've got to make this day the best possible. But it's like little things for yourself, like if you want to get that coffee, get that coffee, even if it's like your second one or whatever fruity drink you want or some special frappuccino thing or, taking a little bit of time to see friends or family or just focusing on yourself even, taking some time to do yoga. Yoga's not my favorite thing in the world, and I personally can't do it because I can't stand or sit still, but I know some people who think of it as a time that everything's quiet, they can be in their own thoughts, they can stretch, it's good for their body, and it's good for their mind, and I think that's incredible, and everyone does self-care differently. I know people who do boxing, because it's, it makes them feel stronger, but it's also a way for them to release stress. So I feel like doing something that's for yourself is necessary to be happy. Comes down to it. I think I realized that what we're all really afraid of, or at least I am, and I know a lot of people are, is the fear of failing, And I feel like going out of my comfort zone made me realize that it's okay to fail because that's how you learn, No one's good at something naturally. I got on a surfboard thinking, okay, if I fall in the water, it's okay. It's like, oh, it's water. But no, the waves, like the current takes you under, it's, and you're attached to this board that becomes a weapon against you sometimes. And that's okay. I failed a lot, but when I finally got on top of the board and stood on it for a while, I felt like I was levitating. And I feel like that's how it is in life. You have to fail in order to get that reward.
I would think self-confidence is a mindset that consists of two parts. I think the first part is internal in that you have to accept yourself. With that comes with like your flaws and your accomplishments and being proud of what you can do and being okay with stuff that you can't really do, being okay with stuff that you can't really change as well, and not thinking that it makes you like less of a person or worse of a person or like you're not as good as another person. And then the second part is external, in that once you do have that internal self confidence, being able to portray that into the world and have other people view yourself in a way that you view yourself in a way that like you want to view yourself and a way for other people. I think it's also part of like you have to value yourself, but then you also have to show other people how to value yourself. Like it's so cliche, but like treat others the way you want to be treated, but also treat yourself the way you want others to treat you. If that makes any sense. I grew up and I used to really not like looking at myself, and I had like a bowl cut and braces and glasses, and I used to wear like cargo shorts and like printed polos, and I was so ugly, but I wasn't that ugly. But I don't know, I really didn't like looking at myself, especially growing up in like America when it's like a lot of what is considered beauty is like Western idealized standards, and you don't get a lot of like Asian representation. So I always grew up like, oh, I have to like have like light, like clean skin, you know, and I have to like I have a monolid instead of like a double eyelid. So I was like, you know, I have like weird eyes, and like my hair like it grows weird too, but it's not that it grows weird, it's just it's different from Western standards as opposed to like Eastern standards. But as I've grown up, I've realized that I don't know, I really like the way I look, and like my features that maybe don't exactly fit into the Western standard of beauty, I have grown to really appreciate. So then I started really like looking at myself in the mirror, and like I like my hair, and I like my facial structure, and I like my body proportions. So like, yeah, sometimes when I'm like in the middle of the night when I go to like pee or something, I just like stop, look in the mirror. I like myself. I think, especially to like younger people, like, you know, be friends with people that will grow with you and people that will promote what you want to do. You don't have to be friends with like a ton of people. I think it's better to have quality friends that will lift you up for when you need it. They will share your accomplishments. They will share your sadness. And I think that really helps with like self-confidence, because when you have a lot of like superficial friends, which I think I had back in like junior high and high school, when they just cared about like being pretty and like fun and stuff like that, it made me feel like I had to partake in that, and it made me feel like pressured with, I guess, those Western standards again. But then when I made friends that I guess I wouldn't really think I would be friends with them, that's when it really challenged me to like change my values and see what I really care about.
Investigation is, of course, another matter, but we'll find out. House Democrats are feeling emboldened with their new majority. This is House Oversight Chair Elijah Cummings on Wednesday at a hearing on strengthening ethics rules for the executive branch.
The American people gave this Congress and this committee a mandate to restore our democracy and clean up our government.
All right, for more on how House Democrats are using their newfound power, we've got NPR congressional reporter Kelsey Snell in the studio. Good morning, Kelsey. Good morning. So, first off, let's talk about Matt Whitaker.
I think for me, my definition of it has changed a lot over time. I used to think that self-confidence was really putting everything that you're good at on a pedestal and making your strengths stronger and taking the things that you didn't like about yourself and kind of boxing it up in a nice, neat little package and then putting it in a closet in the back of your mind. Growing up, I have always been very much of a perfectionist, and I've always been really hard on myself. And so I think that's why that was my definition of self-confidence growing up. But I think recently, over the course of college, and then this year after being out of college, I started to realize that self-confidence is more about wearing your weaknesses on your sleeve rather than your strengths. I think I feel the most self-confident in myself when I am feeling vulnerable, and when I'm like exposing something that feels like weak or powerless to others and saying like, this makes me scared, or I'm bad at this, or I don't know. Like those to me are signs of self-confidence because I'm accepting a part of myself that I might not necessarily like or understand. And I think that's, almost more important than just looking at the good qualities. It's like looking at the good qualities and the bad qualities of yourself and saying, these are all part of who I am, and I wouldn't be a complete person without both of these halves. I would say that self-confidence is something that is constantly fluctuating for me. It changes throughout the day. Sometimes it changes with the weather, changes with what I'm wearing, who I'm with, how much sleep I've gotten, if I'm hungry or not. Yeah, I think self-confidence it's not a constant thing. But I think it's something that is important to practice from moment to moment. I think self-confidence isn't one of those things of you either have it or you don't. I think you can find ways in your life to incorporate that in, and remind yourself of your self-worth. So I would say that as I've gotten older, self-confidence has become more of a constant, and there are definitely some days where it's not there at all, and that's kind of tough. But then there's other days where I'm really great at reminding myself that, hey, you're good, you're okay, everything's chill, and you got this. My morning routine has changed a lot over the course of high school and then college and then now. And when I think about my morning routine in high school, I woke up definitely being like, there was an image that I'm trying to recreate. I want to look like all the other girls in school. I would straighten my already straight hair and put on my Juicy Couture sweater. And yeah, and there was definitely this ideal look that I was trying to achieve. And I think in high school I didn't want to be unique. I didn't want to be different. Just wanted to be the same as everyone else. So anything about myself that looked different to me in my eyes, I did not like. And then I think college and now, I'm realizing more and more that beauty is so, it's one, so surface level, and two, it's also very subjective. And I feel like, especially living in a city like Seattle, you walk out on the streets and everyone has like a different look going on. Everyone has a very individual style. And I think being exposed to an environment like that, and in college where everyone is just like wearing anything from pajamas to like something designer, and you're like, what's going on? But yeah, so I think just being more exposed to people who you can tell got out of the bed in the morning and they were like, you know what? I'm going to put on this outfit today because this makes me feel good. And it doesn't look like anybody else's outfit. and I don't look like anybody else, that I think seeing that has helped me realize that I don't need to look like everyone else. And I don't need to look the same every day. I mean, on the weekends, I'll pull on, t-shirt, leggings. I won't put on any makeup. I'll go do yoga, climb for a little bit. When I go to work, I'll do full face of makeup. I'll put on heels. But I think in general, just seeing that other people can break out of a mold that, like a mold of like what is considered to be beautiful and socially acceptable, I think it's made me realize that I can do the same and that I can kind of break that cookie cutter for myself.